Welcome to Fairy Tale Retreat. Tonight, let yourself drift into a world of magic and wonder as we journey through the kingdom of Eldoria. Settle in comfortably, close your eyes, and let the soothing sound of my voice guide you to a place where dreams and reality intertwine. In the heart of Eldoria, where the skies are painted in hues of azure and gold, Princess Seraphina finds herself on an enchanting adventure. Join her as she explores the mesmerizing enchanted garden and follows a crystal butterfly into the unknown. As you listen to this story, imagine the cool breeze of the garden, the vibrant blooms, and the soft flutter of the butterfly's wings. Feel the tranquility of the night and allow the gentle narrative to lull you into a peaceful slumber. May the tale of the crystal butterfly fill your dreams with beauty and magic. Sleep well, dear listener, and may your night be as enchanting as the story you are about to hear. Chapter 1. The Crystal Butterfly's Call. In the heart of the kingdom of Eldoria, where the skies were perpetually painted in hues of azure and gold, lay the royal palace of Queen Isabella and King Cedric. Nestled within the palace grounds was the enchanted garden, a realm of vibrant blooms and intoxicating fragrances that seemed to exist in a world of its own. The garden was Princess Seraphina's favorite retreat, a sanctuary where she could escape the duties of royalty and lose herself in the wonders of nature. On a particularly splendid afternoon, Seraphina found herself wandering through the garden's winding paths. She was a vision of grace and beauty, with her flowing golden hair and eyes as green as the emerald leaves around her. As she strolled, she admired the array of flowers that bloomed in every conceivable colour, each petal seeming to whisper secrets of ancient magic. Seraphina's steps led her to the heart of the garden, where the rarest and most beautiful flowers grew. This secluded nook was a testament to the gardener's skill, a place where nature and enchantment intertwined. It was here, among the delicate blossoms and shimmering leaves, that Seraphina noticed something extraordinary. Nestled within the petals of a resplendent rose was a glimmering light, unlike anything she had seen before. Drawn by curiosity, Seraphina bent closer to examine the source of this mysterious radiance. To her astonishment, the light resolved itself into a butterfly, but not just any butterfly. Its wings were made entirely of crystal, catching the sunlight and refracting it into 1,000 dazzling colours. For a moment, Seraphina could do nothing but stare, entranced by the butterfly's ethereal beauty. It seemed almost fragile, as if a single breath could shatter it into 1,000,000 shards. Yet, there was something powerful in its delicate form, a sense of purpose that resonated with Seraphina's own yearning for adventure. Cautiously, she reached out a hand towards the butterfly. Just as her fingers were about to touch its crystalline wings, it fluttered away, hovering in the air as if inviting her to follow. Mesmerized, Seraphina did not hesitate. She rose to her feet and trailed after the butterfly, her heart pounding with excitement. The butterfly led her through the garden, past the familiar pathways, and towards the ancient stone archway that marked the garden's boundary. Beyond the archway lay the palace grounds, and beyond that, the untamed wilderness of Eldoria. Seraphina paused for a moment at the threshold, her mind torn between duty and desire. But the butterfly's insistent fluttering was irresistible. It called to a part of her soul that longed for discovery and the unknown. Taking a deep breath, Seraphina stepped through the archway and left the garden behind. The path before her was less certain, lined with wildflowers and shaded by tall, whispering trees. The air grew cooler, carrying the scent of pine and earth, a stark contrast to the sweet fragrances of the enchanted garden. As she ventured further, the crystal butterfly never strayed far from her sight, its iridescent wings guiding her onward. Seraphina felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. She was embarking on a journey beyond the safety of the palace grounds, into a world filled with mystery and magic. Little did she know, this path would lead her to places she had only dreamed of, to a kingdom shrouded in eternal winter and a fate intertwined with her own. The adventure had just begun, and Seraphina felt a thrill of anticipation as she followed the shimmering butterfly into the unknown. The sun dipped lower in the sky as Princess Seraphina ventured further from the palace, casting long shadows that danced among the trees. The path before her, once neatly trimmed and familiar, now gave way to the untamed beauty of Eldoria's wilderness. The crystal butterfly fluttered ahead, its wings catching the dwindling light and scattering a spectrum of colors on the forest floor. Seraphina's curiosity and determination kept her steps steady. The butterfly's enchanting presence was like a beacon, guiding her through the thickening forest. She marveled at the way the creature moved with such purpose, as if it knew exactly where it was leading her. Each delicate flutter seemed to weave a silent promise of adventure and discovery. The trees grew taller and denser, their branches intertwining to form a natural canopy. Shafts of sunlight pierced through the foliage, creating an ethereal atmosphere that felt both magical and otherworldly. Seraphina found herself in awe of the ancient forest, a place she had never fully explored despite living her entire life within its reach. As she continued, she noticed the forest was not as silent as it initially seemed. The soft rustle of leaves, the distant chirping of birds, and the occasional scampering of woodland creatures created a symphony of natural sounds. It was as if the forest was alive and aware of her presence, each sound a greeting or a cautionary tale. The butterfly led her deeper still, to a secluded glade where the trees parted to reveal a small crystal-clear pond. Seraphina paused at the edge, the surface of the water reflecting the sky's golden hues. It was here, in this tranquil setting, that she had her first uninterrupted glimpse of the crystal butterfly. It hovered over the pond, its wings shimmering with an otherworldly light. The intricate patterns etched into its crystalline form were mesmerizing, each facet catching the light in a unique way. Serafina felt a sense of wonder and peace wash over her as she watched the butterfly dance above the water. Entranced by its beauty, she sat down on a moss-covered rock, her eyes never leaving the delicate creature. She reached out a hand again, moving slowly and gently. This time, the butterfly did not flutter away. Instead, it descended and landed softly on her outstretched fingers. Serafina gasped softly, feeling the cool, smooth touch of the crystal wings against her skin. She marveled at the intricate details, the way the light played through the transparent material, creating tiny rainbows. In that moment, she felt a profound connection to the butterfly, as if it were trying to communicate something beyond words. Just as she was beginning to lose herself in the butterfly's beauty, it took flight once more, beckoning her to follow. Serafina rose to her feet, her heart racing with excitement. She felt a pull, an unspoken urge to continue this journey, wherever it might lead. Leaving the peaceful glade behind, she followed the butterfly through the forest. The trees began to thin, and the air grew cooler. The scent of pine intensified, mingling with a hint of frost that prickled her senses. Serafina knew she was venturing further from the familiar warmth of her home and into the unknown. As she walked, she thought of the stories her mother used to tell her as a child. Tales of brave princesses and magical creatures, of kingdoms lost and found. She wondered if she was now living one of those stories, her own adventure unfolding with each step she took. The crystal butterfly led her onward, its wings a constant source of light and hope. Serafina felt a sense of anticipation growing within her. She knew that whatever lay ahead, it would change her life forever. And with that thought, she continued her journey, ready to embrace the magic and mystery that awaited. As twilight descended upon the forest, the crystal butterfly led Serafina through an increasingly unfamiliar landscape. The trees, now tinged with the last light of day, stood tall and majestic, their branches swaying gently in the evening breeze. Each step she took felt like a dance between the known and the unknown, her senses heightened by the thrill of the journey. The butterfly's shimmering wings became her guiding star, a beacon in the gathering dusk. Serafina followed, her heart full of wonder and anticipation. The path twisted and turned, leading her deeper into the forest, where shadows played tricks on her eyes, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures began to stir. The forest seemed to whisper secrets, its ancient trees creaking and groaning as if sharing tales of old. Serafina moved with grace and caution, her footsteps soft against the moss-covered ground. She felt a connection to this place, a sense of belonging that was both strange and comforting. The butterfly led her to a narrow trail, barely visible among the undergrowth. Serafina paused for a moment, hesitating as the path grew more challenging. But the sight of the butterfly's radiant wings, glowing brighter in the dim light, gave her the courage to continue. She stepped onto the trail, her determination unwavering. As she followed the butterfly, the forest began to change. The air grew cooler, and a thin layer of frost appeared on the leaves and branches. Serafina's breath became visible, small puffs of mist in the chill evening air. She wrapped her cloak tighter around her shoulders, feeling the cold seep through the fabric. The path led her to a small clearing where a peculiar sight awaited her. A ring of ancient stones stood in the center, each one covered in intricate carvings and delicate frost. The stones seemed to hum with a faint, magical energy, resonating with the crystal butterfly's glow. Serafina felt a shiver run down her spine, a mix of awe and anticipation. The butterfly hovered above the stones, its wings casting a soft, ethereal light over the clearing. Serafina stepped closer, her eyes tracing the carvings on the stones. They depicted scenes of nature and magic, of creatures both familiar and fantastical. It was a place of power, a gateway to the mysteries of Eldoria. As she examined the stones, the butterfly fluttered to the center of the ring, where a small, clear pool of water lay. The surface of the pool was perfectly still, reflecting the twilight sky and the butterfly's radiant glow. Serafina knelt beside the pool, peering into its depths. She saw not only her own reflection, but also glimpses of distant lands and forgotten dreams. The butterfly dipped its wings into the water, sending ripples across the surface. The ripples grew, spreading outwards until they touched the edge of the pool. As they did, a soft, melodious hum filled the air, a song of ancient magic that resonated deep within Serafina's heart. Drawn by the enchanting melody, Serafina reached out and touched the water. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, a wave of warmth and light enveloped her, filling her with a sense of peace and purpose. The butterfly rose from the pool, its wings shimmering with renewed brilliance. It circled above her, then began to flutter away, leading her once more into the depths of the forest. Serafina stood, her heart light and her spirit buoyed by the magic of the clearing. She followed the butterfly with renewed determination, her steps quick and sure. The path ahead was still shrouded in mystery, but she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The forest began to thin, and Serafina saw a faint glow in the distance. She quickened her pace, eager to see what awaited her. The butterfly led her to the edge of the trees, where she emerged into a vast, frost-covered meadow. The air was crisp, and the ground sparkled with a delicate layer of ice. In the center of the meadow stood a pair of grand gates, their surface adorned with intricate ice sculptures that glittered in the moonlight. The crystal butterfly fluttered towards the gates, its wings casting a soft glow on the frost-covered ground. Serafina followed, her heart pounding with excitement and anticipation. As she approached the gates, they began to open slowly, revealing a world of ice and wonder beyond. Serafina took a deep breath, feeling the chill of the air and the warmth of her own determination. She stepped through the gates, ready to embrace the adventure that lay ahead. As Serafina passed through the grand gates, she found herself in a realm unlike any she had ever known. The frost-covered meadow gave way to a forest of silvery trees, their branches shimmering with icicles. The air was crisp and carried a faint, sweet scent of pine mingled with the sharpness of ice. The crystal butterfly led her into this enchanting world, its wings casting iridescent light on the path ahead. The whispering woods, as Serafina would come to know them, were aptly named. As she ventured deeper, she could hear soft murmurs carried on the wind, a symphony of hushed voices that seemed to speak directly to her soul. It was as if the trees themselves were alive, sharing ancient secrets and forgotten tales. Each step Serafina took was careful and deliberate. The ground beneath her feet was covered in a thin layer of frost, and she marveled at the way the ice sparkled under the butterfly's glow. The forest was serene yet alive with magic, a place where every breath felt like a whisper of destiny. The butterfly flitted ahead, its path weaving through the trees. Serafina followed, her senses attuned to the enchanting surroundings. She noticed that the forest was teeming with life despite the chill. Small woodland creatures, their fur thick and white, watched her with curious eyes. Birds with feathers like snowflakes fluttered from branch to branch, their songs a delicate harmony with the whispers of the trees. As Serafina walked, she couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and belonging. The forest felt like a living entity, its magic resonating with her own. She thought of the stories her mother used to tell her, of brave princesses and enchanted realms, and realized that she was living one of those tales. The thought filled her with a mixture of excitement and responsibility. The path grew narrower, and the trees more densely packed. Serafina had to weave her way through, careful not to disturb the fragile beauty of the icicles hanging from the branches. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, as if the forest was guiding her, urging her onward. Eventually, the butterfly led her to a small clearing where a massive tree stood at its center. This tree was unlike any other in the forest. Its trunk was wide and ancient, its bark silvered with age and frost. The branches spread out like protective arms, and the air around it thrummed with a powerful, soothing energy. The crystal butterfly landed on one of the lower branches, its wings still shimmering with a soft, ethereal light. Serafina approached the tree, feeling an inexplicable connection to it. She placed her hand on the trunk, and immediately a warmth spread through her fingers, up her arm, and into her heart. The whispers of the forest grew into a clear, harmonious song, and Seraphina closed her eyes, letting the music envelop her. She felt a sense of peace and understanding, as if the tree was sharing its wisdom and strength with her. In that moment, she knew she was on the right path, guided by forces greater than herself. After a while, the butterfly took flight again, and Seraphina opened her eyes, feeling rejuvenated and ready to continue her journey. She followed the butterfly out of the clearing, back into the whispering embrace of the forest. The path ahead was still uncertain, but she felt more confident and connected to the magic around her. The forest began to thin once more, and the air grew even colder. Seraphina's breath came out in visible puffs, and she wrapped her cloak tighter around herself. The crystal butterfly, undeterred by the chill, continued to lead her, its wings a constant source of light and hope. As she walked, Seraphina thought about the journey so far. She realized that every step, every whisper, and every flutter of the butterfly's wings had brought her closer to her destiny. She felt a growing sense of purpose, a knowledge that she was meant to be here in this enchanted forest, following this magical creature. The trees parted ahead, revealing a vast, frost-covered meadow. The sight took Seraphina's breath away. The meadow was a sea of white, the frost glistening like diamonds under the moonlight. At the far end, she could see the outline of a grand structure, its icy towers reaching towards the sky. The butterfly led her across the meadow, its wings cutting through the cold air. Seraphina followed, her heart pounding with anticipation. She knew that whatever lay ahead, it would be the culmination of her journey so far, and she was ready to face it. Seraphina stood at the edge of the frost-covered meadow, her breath visible in the frigid air. The meadow stretched out before her, a vast expanse of sparkling white, untouched and pristine. The moonlight cast an ethereal glow, making the frost shimmer like a sea of diamonds. It was a sight both breathtaking and surreal, a testament to the enchantment that permeated this land. The crystal butterfly fluttered ahead, its wings leaving trails of iridescent light in the cold air. Seraphina followed, her footsteps crunching softly on the frozen ground. The meadow was silent, the only sound the gentle whisper of the wind and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. The stillness was both calming and eerie, a reminder that she was far from the warmth and safety of her home. As she walked, Seraphina marveled at the beauty around her. The frost-covered flowers and grasses seemed like delicate sculptures, each one unique and perfect in its icy coating. The moon hung high in the sky, its pale light casting long shadows that danced and shifted with every step she took. It was a scene from a dream, a world where magic was woven into every blade of grass and every flake of frost. The butterfly led her towards the center of the meadow, where a peculiar structure began to take shape in the distance. As she drew closer, Seraphina could make out the grand gates she had glimpsed earlier. They were magnificent, crafted from ice and adorned with intricate carvings that glinted in the moonlight. The gates stood tall and imposing, their beauty both inviting and intimidating. Seraphina paused for a moment, taking in the sight before her. The gates seemed to hum with a silent energy, a promise of wonders and challenges beyond. She felt a mixture of awe and apprehension, a sense that her journey was about to take a new and unexpected turn. The butterfly fluttered towards the gates, its wings brushing against the icy surface. As it did, the gates began to open slowly, a soft creaking sound breaking the silence of the meadow. Seraphina took a deep breath, gathering her courage. She stepped forward, her heart pounding with anticipation. Beyond the gates, the landscape transformed into a world of ice and wonder. The air grew colder, and the ground beneath her feet was covered in a thick layer of snow. Tall, crystalline structures rose up around her, their surfaces gleaming with 1,000 shades of blue and white. It was as if she had stepped into a palace of ice, a realm where winter reigned supreme. The crystal butterfly guided her through this frozen wonderland, its light reflecting off the icy surfaces and casting a myriad of colors around them. Seraphina felt a sense of wonder and discovery, her fears melting away in the face of such beauty. She walked with purpose, knowing that this journey was leading her to something important, something she was meant to find. As she ventured deeper into the icy realm, Seraphina noticed a faint glow in the distance. It was a soft, warm light, a stark contrast to the cold, blue hues around her. The butterfly seemed to sense her curiosity and quickened its pace, leading her towards the source of the light. The path wound through towering ice sculptures and frozen fountains, each one more magnificent than the last. Seraphina felt like she was walking through a fairy tale, a storybook world brought to life. The light grew brighter as she approached, casting a golden glow on the snowy ground. Finally, she arrived at the heart of the icy kingdom. Before her stood a grand palace, its walls and towers shimmering with frost and ice. The palace was both majestic and haunting, a testament to the magic that held this land in its icy grip. The warm light emanated from within, a beacon of hope in the cold darkness. Seraphina stood at the entrance of the palace, her heart racing with anticipation. She knew that this was where her journey had led her, where she would find the answers she sought. The crystal butterfly hovered beside her, its wings shimmering with a reassuring light. With a deep breath, Seraphina stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The palace doors opened before her, revealing a world of wonder and mystery. She walked inside, her footsteps echoing in the grand hall, and the doors closed silently behind her. The adventure was far from over, but Seraphina felt a sense of purpose and determination. She was ready to face the challenges ahead, guided by the light of the crystal butterfly and the strength of her own heart. Seraphina's heart pounded as she stepped inside the grand palace. The air was cool and crisp, filled with a faint, sweet scent reminiscent of winter flowers. The crystal butterfly fluttered beside her, its iridescent wings casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the frosty walls. The palace was a marvel of architecture, every surface gleaming with ice and adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to tell a story of their own. The grand hall she entered was vast and echoing, its ceiling soaring high above. Massive chandeliers of ice hung from the ceiling, each one a masterpiece of delicate craftsmanship. The light they emitted was soft and ethereal, casting a gentle glow that filled the room with a serene, almost magical ambience. Seraphina felt a sense of awe and wonder as she walked through the hall, her footsteps echoing softly on the icy floor. The butterfly led her towards a grand staircase that spiraled upwards, its railings encrusted with sparkling frost. Seraphina ascended the staircase, her hand trailing along the cool, smooth surface of the railing. She could feel the magic of the palace thrumming beneath her fingertips, a steady pulse that resonated with her own heartbeat. At the top of the staircase, she found herself in a long corridor lined with tall windows. The windows were framed with intricate ice sculptures, each one depicting scenes of nature and magic, of creatures both real and fantastical. The moonlight streaming through the windows cast a silvery glow, illuminating the corridor with a soft, mystical light. The crystal butterfly flitted ahead, guiding Seraphina towards a set of double doors at the end of the corridor. The doors were grand and imposing, their surfaces covered in swirling patterns of frost. As she approached, the door swung open silently, revealing a room bathed in a warm golden light. The room was a stark contrast to the icy palace. It was filled with the warmth of a roaring fire, the flickering flames casting a cozy glow over the space. The walls were adorned with rich tapestries depicting scenes of summer and warmth, a vivid reminder of the world outside the kingdom of eternal winter. In the center of the room stood a figure draped in a cloak of shimmering ice blue fabric. The figure turned as Seraphina entered, revealing a woman of striking beauty and grace. Her hair was as white as freshly fallen snow, cascading down her back in waves. Her eyes were a deep, icy blue, filled with a mix of sorrow and determination. This was the Snow Queen, the ruler of the Frozen Kingdom. "Welcome, Princess Seraphina," the Snow Queen said, her voice soft and melodic, like the tinkling of ice chimes. "I have been expecting you." Seraphina felt a shiver run down her spine, but it was not from the cold. There was something in the Snow Queen's gaze that spoke of great power and deep sadness. She stepped forward, her curiosity and compassion driving her. "Why have you brought me here?" Seraphina asked, her voice steady despite the uncertainty she felt. The Snow Queen sighed, her breath forming a delicate cloud of frost in the air. "Our kingdom is trapped in eternal winter, cursed by a powerful sorcerer. The crystal butterfly, a symbol of hope and magic, led you here because you possess the warmth and light needed to break the curse." Seraphina listened intently, her heart aching at the Snow Queen's words. She could see the pain and weariness in the Queen's eyes, the weight of centuries of cold and isolation. "How can I help?" she asked, determination shining in her eyes. The Snow Queen stepped closer, her gaze intense and hopeful. "There is a heart of warmth within this palace, a source of magic that can melt the coldest ice. But it can only be awakened by someone with a pure heart and a courageous spirit. You, Seraphina, are that person." Seraphina felt a surge of resolve. She knew that her journey had led her here for a reason, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "I will do whatever it takes to break the curse and bring warmth back to your kingdom," she vowed. The Snow Queen smiled, a rare and beautiful expression that softened her features. "Thank you, Princess Seraphina. Your journey is not over yet, but with your courage and the guidance of the crystal butterfly, I believe we can restore the kingdom to its former glory." Seraphina nodded, feeling the weight of her promise. She knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but she was determined to succeed. With the crystal butterfly by her side and the support of the Snow Queen, she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they left the warm room and ventured deeper into the palace, towards the heart of winter's curse and the hope of a brighter future. Chapter 2: The Kingdom of Eternal Winter. Seraphina and the Snow Queen traversed the grand halls of the palace, their footsteps echoing softly in the frosty silence. The crystal butterfly led the way, its luminous wings casting a soft glow that lit their path. The palace, with its vast chambers and intricate ice sculptures, seemed to be both a testament to beauty and a reminder of the curse that had befallen the kingdom. The walls of the palace were adorned with scenes of a time before the curse. Lush green fields, sparkling rivers, and vibrant gardens filled with colourful flowers. Seraphina could almost feel the warmth emanating from these depictions, a stark contrast to the icy reality around her. Each image told a story of a land once filled with joy and life, now trapped in an unending winter. The Snow Queen walked beside her, her presence regal yet sorrowful. Seraphina could sense the weight of the Queen's burden, the centuries of solitude and struggle to maintain hope in a frozen world. They passed through halls lined with frozen fountains and statues of mythical creatures, their forms captured in breathtaking detail by the ice that encased them. As they moved deeper into the palace, the air grew colder and the magic around them more palpable. The walls seemed to hum with energy, a silent testament to the enchantment that held the kingdom in its icy grip. The crystal butterfly's light grew brighter, its wings shimmering with an otherworldly radiance that filled Seraphina with a sense of purpose. The Snow Queen paused before a set of towering double doors, their surfaces covered in intricate frost patterns that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. She turned to Seraphina, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "Beyond these doors lies the heart of our kingdom's curse," she said softly. "It is here that the sorcerer's magic is strongest, and it is here that you must use your warmth to break the spell." Seraphina nodded, her resolve unwavering. She knew that this was the moment she had been led to, the culmination of her journey and the chance to restore the kingdom to its former glory. She reached out and touched the doors, feeling a surge of warmth spread through her fingers and up her arms. With a gentle push, the doors swung open, revealing the chamber beyond. The room was vast and circular, its walls lined with towering columns of ice. At the center stood a large crystalline heart, pulsating with a cold blue light. The air was thick with magic, a palpable force that sent shivers down Seraphina's spine. The heart seemed to draw all the warmth from the room, its icy aura a testament to the power of the curse. The crystal butterfly flew towards the heart, its wings casting a warm, golden glow that contrasted starkly with the cold blue light. Seraphina followed, feeling the magic in the room respond to her presence. She could sense the heart's power, a deep and ancient magic that had held the kingdom in its frozen state for centuries. The Snow Queen stood at the edge of the room, her eyes fixed on Seraphina. "You have the warmth within you, Princess," she said softly. "You must let it flow into the heart and melt the ice that binds our kingdom." Seraphina took a deep breath, feeling the warmth within her heart grow stronger. She stepped closer to the crystalline heart, her hands outstretched. As she touched the cold surface, she felt a surge of energy flow through her, a connection between her own warmth and the icy magic of the heart. Closing her eyes, Seraphina focused on the warmth within her, letting it flow through her fingers and into the heart. The coldness began to melt away, replaced by a growing warmth that spread through the chamber. The blue light of the heart began to change, shifting to a warmer golden hue. The ice around the room began to melt, the columns of frost turning to water and flowing away. The magic that had held the kingdom in its icy grip was weakening, replaced by the warmth and light of Seraphina's heart. She could feel the power of the curse diminishing, its hold on the kingdom loosening with every passing moment. Finally, the crystalline heart shattered, sending a wave of warmth and light through the chamber. The ice melted away completely, and the room was filled with a radiant glow. Serafina opened her eyes, feeling a sense of triumph and relief. The curse was broken, and the kingdom of eternal winter was no more. The Snow Queen stepped forward, her eyes filled with gratitude and joy. "Thank you, Princess Serafina," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You have restored our kingdom and brought warmth back to our land." Serafina smiled, feeling the warmth of the Snow Queen's words fill her heart. She knew that her journey was not yet over, but she had taken the first step towards restoring the kingdom and bringing hope back to its people. The Snow Queen's words echoed in Serafina's heart, filling her with a sense of accomplishment and determination. She had taken the first step towards lifting the curse, but she knew there was still much to be done. The crystal butterfly fluttered beside her, its glow a reminder of the magic and hope that guided her. The Snow Queen led Serafina out of the chamber and back through the grand halls of the palace. The warmth they had brought to the heart of the kingdom was slowly spreading, melting the frost and ice that covered the walls and floors. The air grew less frigid, and the palace began to feel more alive, more welcoming. They entered a grand hall where a throne of ice stood at the far end, shimmering in the softened light. The Snow Queen approached the throne and sat down, her regal presence commanding the room. Serafina stood before her, feeling a sense of awe and respect for the woman who had endured so much to protect her kingdom. The Snow Queen's eyes softened as she looked at Serafina. "You have done something remarkable today, Princess," she said. "But there is still one final task that must be completed to fully break the curse and restore the kingdom." Serafina listened intently, her heart steady and resolute. "What must I do?" she asked, ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. The Snow Queen took a deep breath, her gaze distant and sorrowful. "Many years ago, before the curse, this kingdom was ruled by a kind and just prince. He was beloved by all, and his heart was filled with warmth and compassion. But a jealous sorcerer, envious of the prince's goodness, cast a spell that turned him into a statue of ice. The crystal butterfly was created from the prince's last tear, a symbol of his enduring love and hope." Serafina's eyes widened as she listened to the Snow Queen's tale. She felt a deep sense of empathy for the prince, understanding the pain of losing one's freedom and warmth. "Where is the prince now?" she asked, determined to help. The Snow Queen's gaze turned towards a grand staircase leading down into the depths of the palace. "He is hidden in the deepest chamber of the palace, where the sorcerer's magic is strongest. To break the curse completely, you must find the prince and use the warmth of your heart to melt the ice that binds him." Serafina nodded, feeling the weight of the task before her. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The crystal butterfly fluttered around her, its light a beacon of hope and courage. With the Snow Queen's guidance, Seraphina descended the grand staircase, her footsteps echoing in the silence. The air grew colder as they moved deeper into the palace, the warmth from earlier unable to reach these hidden depths. Seraphina felt a chill run down her spine, but she pressed on, determined to save the prince and restore the kingdom. They reached a large ornate door covered in intricate carvings of ice and snow. The Snow Queen placed her hand on the door, and it slowly opened, revealing a dark and foreboding chamber. Seraphina stepped inside, her heart pounding with anticipation. The chamber was vast and dimly lit, the walls covered in ancient runes and symbols. In the center stood a statue of a young man, his features perfect and lifelike, but his body encased in a thick layer of ice. Seraphina felt a pang of sorrow as she looked at the prince, understanding the depth of his suffering. The crystal butterfly flew to the statue, its wings casting a warm light on the ice. Seraphina approached, her heart filled with determination and compassion. She placed her hands on the ice, feeling the cold seep into her skin. Closing her eyes, she focused on the warmth within her, letting it flow through her hands and into the ice. Slowly, the ice began to melt, the warmth spreading through the prince's frozen form. The runes on the walls glowed softly, responding to the magic that filled the chamber. Seraphina could feel the sorcerer's curse weakening, the power of her warmth and love breaking through the layers of ice. Finally, the ice shattered, and the prince gasped for breath, his eyes opening to reveal a deep, soulful gaze. Seraphina stepped back, her heart pounding with relief and joy. The prince looked at her, his expression one of gratitude and awe. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. "You have saved me and my kingdom." The Snow Queen stepped forward, her eyes filled with tears of joy. "Welcome back, my son," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. The prince embraced his mother, and Seraphina felt a deep sense of fulfillment and happiness. The curse was broken, and the kingdom of eternal winter was no more. The warmth and light that Seraphina had brought to the heart of the kingdom spread throughout the land, melting the ice and bringing life back to the frozen realm. The crystal butterfly fluttered around them, its light a symbol of hope and magic. Seraphina knew that her journey was complete, but her heart was forever changed by the experiences she had faced and the people she had met. She had found her own strength and courage, and she knew that she would carry the warmth and magic of this adventure with her always. The prince, now freed from his icy prison, stood tall and regal, his presence commanding yet gentle. His eyes, A deep shade of sapphire sparkled with gratitude and newfound hope. The Snow Queen embraced her son tightly, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. Seraphina felt a warmth spread through her heart, knowing she had played a crucial role in their reunion. The crystal butterfly, having completed its task, hovered nearby, its wings shimmering with a soft glow. The room, once filled with an oppressive chill, now radiated a comforting warmth. Seraphina watched as the prince turned to her, his expression filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Princess Seraphina," the prince said, his voice strong and melodic. "You have not only freed me, but also restored hope to our kingdom. We are forever in your debt." Seraphina smiled, humbled by his words. "I am honored to have been a part of this journey, but there is still much I do not understand. The crystal butterfly, what is its true significance?" The Snow Queen, still holding her son's hand, stepped forward. "The crystal butterfly is a creation of pure love and hope. It was formed from my son's last tear before the sorcerer's curse took full effect. That tear, a symbol of his enduring love for his people and his hope for a better future, was imbued with powerful magic." The prince nodded in agreement. The butterfly sought someone with a pure heart and a courageous spirit, someone who could bring warmth back to this land. It found you, Seraphina, and guided you here because it knew you were the one destined to break the curse. Seraphina felt a deep connection to the butterfly, understanding now why it had chosen her. "The butterfly's light led me through the darkest parts of the forest and the coldest chambers of the palace. It gave me the strength to face the challenges and the courage to succeed." The Snow Queen smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "You have proven that love and hope can conquer even the darkest of curses. The butterfly will always be a symbol of that truth." The crystal butterfly fluttered closer to Seraphina, its wings brushing gently against her cheek. She felt a surge of warmth and a sense of completion. The butterfly's task was done, but its presence would remain a reminder of the power of love and hope. With the curse broken and the kingdom slowly returning to its former glory, the Snow Queen and her son led Seraphina through the palace, showing her the beauty that was once hidden beneath layers of ice. The grand halls were now filled with light, the intricate carvings on the walls gleaming with newfound brilliance. The air was no longer frigid, but filled with a gentle warmth that spoke of rebirth and renewal. As they walked, the Snow Queen shared stories of the kingdom's past, of its vibrant festivals and joyous celebrations. The prince spoke of his dreams for the future, of restoring the land and bringing prosperity back to their people. Seraphina listened intently, feeling a deep connection to this place and its inhabitants. They arrived at a grand balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The once frost-covered meadow was now a sea of green, dotted with colourful flowers that bloomed under the warm sunlight. The sight filled Seraphina with a sense of accomplishment and peace. The prince turned to her, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Princess Seraphina, would you stay and help us rebuild our kingdom? Your courage and kindness have already done so much. We would be honored to have you by our side." Seraphina's heart swelled with emotion. She had found a place where her strength and compassion were needed. A place where she could make a difference. "I would be honored," she replied, her voice steady and full of conviction. The Snow Queen and the prince smiled, their faces radiant with hope. Together, they stood on the balcony, looking out over the kingdom they would rebuild. The crystal butterfly fluttered around them, a symbol of the enduring power of love and hope. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the land, Seraphina knew that her journey had only just begun. With the Snow Queen and the prince by her side, she would help bring warmth and light back to the kingdom, ensuring that it would never again fall into darkness. As the days passed, Seraphina settled into her new role within the kingdom. The palace, once a cold and desolate place, now buzzed with activity and the laughter of people returning to their homes. The thawing of the land brought a renewed sense of purpose to its inhabitants, and everywhere Seraphina looked, there were signs of life and hope. The Snow Queen, whose name Seraphina learned was Alara, and her son Prince Kalan, worked tirelessly alongside Seraphina to restore the kingdom. They spent their days planning the reconstruction of villages, organizing feasts to celebrate the return of warmth, and welcoming back those who had fled the eternal winter. Yet, despite the joy, there was still an undercurrent of unease that lingered in the air. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains and painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, Alara invited Seraphina to the palace's grand library. The room was filled with ancient tomes and scrolls, their pages crackling with forgotten knowledge. Alara led Seraphina to a large table where a single book lay open, its pages illuminated by the soft glow of candlelight. "This," Alara said, gesturing to the book, "is the history of our kingdom. It contains the story of the curse and the sorcerer who cast it. To truly break the enchantment and ensure it never returns, we must understand its origins." Seraphina leaned over the book, her eyes scanning the delicate script. The story unfolded before her, a tale of jealousy and betrayal. The sorcerer, once a trusted advisor to the royal family, had coveted the throne and the power that came with it. When his ambitions were thwarted by Prince Kalan's goodness and the love of the people, he had sought revenge, casting a spell that plunged the kingdom into eternal winter. The curse was bound by powerful magic, anchored by a dark crystal hidden deep within the palace. As long as the crystal remained intact, the threat of the curse would linger. Seraphina understood that their work was not yet complete. They had to find the crystal and destroy it to ensure the kingdom's safety. "We must find this crystal and destroy it," Seraphina said, her voice firm. "Only then can we be sure the curse is truly broken." Elara nodded, her expression grave. "It is hidden in the deepest part of the palace, a place filled with the sorcerer's dark magic. It will not be an easy task, but I believe in our strength and our unity." Prince Kalen, who had joined them, placed a reassuring hand on Seraphina's shoulder. "Together, we can overcome any obstacle. We will face this final challenge and rid our kingdom of the sorcerer's darkness once and for all." The following morning, the three of them set out on their quest to find the dark crystal. The crystal butterfly, ever their guide, fluttered ahead, its light leading them through the twisting corridors and hidden passages of the palace. The deeper they ventured, the colder and darker the air became. Shadows seemed to stretch and whisper around them, remnants of the sorcerer's malevolent magic. They reached a hidden door, covered in ancient runes that glowed faintly in the dim light. Elara stepped forward, chanting an incantation that caused the runes to pulse and fade. The door creaked open, revealing a dark chamber filled with a palpable sense of dread. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and upon it rested the dark crystal. It pulsed with an eerie, cold light, its surface smooth and foreboding. The room seemed to hum with the sorcerer's lingering power, a testament to the strength of his curse. Seraphina, Kalen, and Elara approached the pedestal cautiously. The crystal butterfly hovered over the dark crystal, its warm light a stark contrast to the coldness emanating from the dark stone. Seraphina reached out, her hand trembling slightly. She felt the warmth of her heart surge through her fingers, the same warmth that had melted the ice and freed Kalen. "We do this together," she said, looking at Kalen and Elara. They nodded, their hands joining hers. Together they channeled their combined strength and love into the dark crystal. The cold light flickered and dimmed as the warmth enveloped it, shattering the dark magic that held it together. With a final surge of power, the dark crystal shattered into a million pieces, dissolving into nothingness. The chamber was filled with a brilliant light, and the oppressive cold lifted, replaced by a gentle warmth. The sorcerer's curse was finally broken, its power extinguished. The kingdom of eternal winter was no more. Seraphina, Kalen, and Elara stood together, their hearts filled with hope and triumph. The crystal butterfly, its task complete, fluttered around them one last time before dissolving into a shower of light, a symbol of the enduring power of love and unity. With the dark crystal shattered, a wave of warmth and light spread through the palace, dispelling the last remnants of the sorcerer's dark magic. Seraphina, Kalen, and Elara felt a profound sense of relief and triumph. The weight of the curse had been lifted, and the kingdom could finally begin to heal. As they made their way back to the main hall, the changes were immediate and remarkable. The frost that had covered the walls melted away, revealing vibrant tapestries and intricate carvings that depicted the kingdom's history. The once cold and silent palace now buzzed with the sounds of life returning. As servants and villagers who had taken refuge within its walls emerged, their faces alight with hope. Ilara and Kaelin embraced Seraphina warmly, their gratitude evident in their eyes. "You have done more for this kingdom than we could ever repay," Ilara said, her voice choked with emotion. "Your courage and kindness have restored not only our home, but also our spirits." Kaelin took Seraphina's hands in his gaze steady and filled with admiration. "Your heart has proven to be our greatest strength. You are not only a princess, but a true savior of this land." Seraphina felt a deep sense of fulfillment and belonging. She had found a place where her warmth and compassion could make a difference, where her actions had brought about real, lasting change. She knew that her journey had not only saved a kingdom, but had also transformed her own heart and spirit. Over the next few days, the kingdom celebrated its rebirth. Grand feasts were held, and the air was filled with music and laughter. Flowers bloomed where there had once been only ice, and the people of the kingdom rejoiced in their newfound freedom. Seraphina, Kaelin, and Ilara worked tirelessly to rebuild. Their efforts met with enthusiasm and gratitude from everyone they encountered. One afternoon, as the sun cast a golden glow over the palace gardens, Seraphina found herself walking along a familiar path. The crystal butterfly, now a beautiful memory, had led her through these very gardens to a destiny she could never have imagined. She paused by a sparkling fountain, its water catching the sunlight and creating rainbows in the air. Kaelin approached, his expression warm and thoughtful. "This garden has always been a place of peace and beauty, but now it feels even more special," he said, standing beside her. "It was here that your journey began, and it is here that our future begins." Seraphina smiled, her heart filled with contentment. "I have found so much here. Love, friendship, and a purpose. This kingdom is a part of me now, and I'm grateful for every moment." Kaelin took her hand, his eyes reflecting the deep connection they shared. "Seraphina, your heart has brought warmth and light to our lives. I cannot imagine a future without you by my side. Will you stay and help us continue to build this new era of hope and prosperity?" Seraphina felt a surge of joy and certainty. "Yes, Kaelin, I will stay. Together, we will ensure that this kingdom remains a place of love and light." Their promise to each other marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope and endless possibilities. The people of the kingdom looked to their future with optimism, knowing that they were guided by leaders who embodied the very best of humanity. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the land, Seraphina felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. She had followed the crystal butterfly on a journey that had tested her courage and kindness, and in doing so, she had found her true purpose. The kingdom of eternal winter had become a place of warmth and light, and Seraphina knew that with love and hope they could overcome any challenge. The crystal butterfly's legacy lived on in the hearts of all who had been touched by its magic. Seraphina, Kaelin, and Ilara stood together, ready to face the future with strength and unity. Their journey had brought them to this moment, and they would continue to build a world where love and hope reigned supreme. The celebrations of the kingdom's rebirth extended throughout the land, a testament to the resilience and unity of its people. Yet, Seraphina knew that the final step in ensuring the kingdom's enduring prosperity was to solidify the breaking of the sorcerer's enchantment. The dark magic, though weakened, needed to be fully eradicated to prevent it from ever threatening the kingdom again. As twilight fell over the palace, casting long shadows that mingled with the last golden rays of the sun, Seraphina, Kaelin, and Ilara gathered in the grand hall. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and purpose. They had one final task to complete: to bind the kingdom with a new enchantment of protection and light. Seraphina looked at her companions, feeling the weight of the moment. We must create a new enchantment, one that will protect our kingdom from any future dark magic. This spell must be rooted in the love, hope, and unity we have all shown. Ilara nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. We will use the magic within us, combined with the remnants of the crystal butterfly's light, to weave this new spell. Together, we will ensure our kingdom's safety for generations to come. Prince Kaelin stepped forward, holding a small vial containing the last remnants of the crystal butterfly's light. This light is a symbol of our journey, our struggles, and our triumphs. It represents the very essence of what we stand for. Seraphina took the vial, feeling its warmth radiate through her fingers. She closed her eyes, focusing on the love and hope that had guided her throughout her journey. The light within the vial pulsed gently, resonating with her own heart. She felt Kaelin and Ilara's hands join hers, their combined warmth and magic creating a powerful, harmonious energy. With a deep breath, Seraphina began to speak the incantation, her voice steady and filled with conviction. By the light of hope and the warmth of love, we bind this kingdom with protection from above. Let no darkness enter, let no coldness reign, for unity and courage shall always remain. Ilara and Kaelin joined in, their voices merging with Seraphina's to create a beautiful, resonant melody. The light from the vial grew brighter, enveloping them in a radiant glow. The magic within their words and hearts intertwined, forming an unbreakable bond that spread throughout the palace and beyond. As the enchantment took hold, the air around them shimmered with a soft golden light. The warmth of their combined magic flowed through the walls of the palace, spreading across the land like a gentle, protective blanket. The kingdom itself seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The last remnants of the sorcerer's dark magic dissipating into nothingness. When the light finally faded, Seraphina opened her eyes to find the grand hall transformed. The walls glowed with a soft ethereal light, and the air was filled with a sense of peace and security. The new enchantment had taken root, binding the kingdom with a protective magic that would endure for generations. Elara embraced Seraphina, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You have given us a gift beyond measure, Princess. Your courage and love have created a legacy that will protect our kingdom forever." Kalen took Seraphina's hand, his gaze filled with admiration and love. "Together, we have overcome the darkness and brought light back to our land. Our kingdom is now a beacon of hope, thanks to you." Seraphina felt a deep sense of fulfillment and joy. She had found her true purpose, not only in breaking the curse, but in creating a lasting legacy of love and unity. "This kingdom will always be a place of warmth and light, as long as we stand together," she said, her voice filled with determination. The people of the kingdom, sensing the change, gathered in the grand hall to celebrate the new enchantment. Their faces were alight with joy and gratitude, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they were protected by the magic of love and hope. As the night wore on, Seraphina stood with Kalen and Elara, watching the celebrations with a heart full of peace and contentment. She knew that her journey had only just begun, and that there would be many more challenges to face. But with the strength of their bond and the power of their magic, she was confident that they could overcome anything. The kingdom of eternal winter had been transformed into a land of warmth and light, a testament to the enduring power of love and unity. And as long as Seraphina, Kalen, and Elara stood together, the kingdom would continue to thrive, its future bright and filled with endless possibilities.